Greetings, everyone. It's been a while since the last race, which was at St. Pete, where Colton Herta came out the victor. This week's race will be at the Half Mile Oval in Portland. This is an old track that no longer exists in real life. The track was shut down in 2001, but I thought it was kind of neat to include in my series. As you can see, with Colton Herta's victory, he moved up 2 spots into second. Some of the other big movers included that of Greg Forian, who moved up 6 spots into 10th place, Jordan Roman, who moved up 17 spots to sit in 17th, and even Dalton Scott, who moved up 10 spots to 25th overall. There's still a lot of racing and a lot of opportunities for guys to move up in the point standings, but this kind of gives us a good guideline on where the field stands right now. For the first time in the Sylvania Cup Series, every short track on my circuit will have 2 heats, an LCQ, and the main event. This really works out since I have 47 cars trying to fill a 42-car field every week. Therefore, 5 drivers usually are always on the outside looking in. And ironically, it's worked out that the same 5 drivers have failed to qualify for the first 6 races of the season. The heats will give them that opportunity to try and race in for the main event. Beginning of Heat Race 1, and it starts to sound like a broken record. Will Power and Austin Cindric are running up front. The heat race being 125 laps long, only the top 15 will convert over to the main event. 125 laps gives them a decent amount of time to jockey for position. Early on, the bubble riders is that of Jordan Roman in 15th, Travis Charpentier in 16th, and Dalton Scott in 17th. One driver that's failed to make every race this year is that of Mitchell Gobea. And on lap 19, that trend might very well continue as he gets wound up in a wreck. This brings out a caution and also slightly hampers Austin Cindric's lead. Long way into the run, you get lap traffic starting to slow down the lead crew. Still, Austin Cindric and Will Power seem to be class of the show. With 25 laps to go, we start to see who might be going on to the LCQ. A shocker so far is Scott Dixon running in 19th. He would have to get up to 15th in order to transfer. A surprise one is Darren Van Dyken, who has not made a race this year as well, sitting 16th, only 1 spot out of a transfer. And even when that was mentioned, a wreck happens right in front of him. Included in that wreck were 2 drivers that were in the transfer positions. Because of that, the 2 drivers involved in the wreck dropped back out of the 15th, putting Darren Van Dyken into 15th overall. The 38 of Monty Shangle got pretty wadded up in that previous wreck. And with just 4 laps to go in the heat race, Monty Shangle has to retire from the race, ultimately putting him in the LCQ. Right at the end, with all the dropouts and all that, Scott Dixon actually transfers on to the main event in 15th place. The top 15 that are highlighted move on to the main event. These drivers highlighted are the ones going on to the LCQ. There will be some heavy hitters in this LCQ. Monty Shangle and Aaron Rapp, two of which are in it. Brand new entrant for this week, the 21 of Kara Carl starts on the front and winds up taking an early lead. She has to fight with Jimmy Johnson and even Roger Lutz, both of which have won a race earlier this year. This heat race has lots of star talent. Colton Herta, Greg Forian, Tyler Shangle, myself. So, in other words, this heat race is pretty stacked. Last year's champion Jimmy Johnson also off to a good start. This heat goes caution-free and drama-free. Not a whole lot of change in positions. Lap traffic does change things up a little bit, but very little movement in the field. The drivers that wind up not transferring include the 11 of Paul Wilkins, the 4 car of Lando Norris, the 62 of Darrell Roloff, the 99 of Jim Frost, the 23 of Ian Hawkins, the number 10 of Bob Leader, and the number 81 of John Roman. Therefore, the transferees start from the number 80 of Clyde Coker, the number 68 of Stephen Keith, the 67 of Liz Shangle, the 15 of Levi Litowitz, 94 of Ken Roxon, the 64 of myself, the 76 of Greg Forian, the 53 of Jimmy Gokachia, the 98 of Colton Herta, the 21 of Kara Carl, the 77 of Tyler Shangle, the 42 of Jimmy Johnson, the 28 of Alan Taylor, the 90 and the 91, respectively, of Roger Lutz and the race winner of Larry Lusk. The LCQs should be quick and frantic. With only 75 laps to get it done, a lot matters where you start the race. The two that should definitely transfer on would be that of Aaron Rapp and Monty Shangle. Yet, nothing's a given. Halfway through the LCQ, Monty Shangle sits in second, and the leader is that of Rocky Lang in the 33 car. Two teammates. The other transfer spots as it runs is the 95 of Jacob Roloff, the 97 of Aaron Rapp, and the 23 of Ian Hawkins. On lap 58, John Roman passes Ian Hawkins for the number 5 transfer position. And ultimately, with 5 laps to go, never looks back. As it sets, it looks like your transferees will likely be the 33 of Rocky, the 38 of Monty, number 3 of Jacob, the number 4 of Aaron, and number 5 is that of John Boy. And so it is. So, the start of the main event, 425 lap event at the Portland Short Track. Darren Van Dyken and Jimmy Johnson share the front row. Kellen Relic, Will Power, Joseph Newgarden, Tyler Shangle, Monty Shangle, Dalton Scott, Howard Schuler, and Austin Cindric is the top 10 starters. Darren Van Dyken, who has failed to qualify for any races up to this point, starts off by leading this race. Quite impressive, I must say. By lap 25, he's led the first 25 laps. Kellen Relic, Jimmy Johnson, Monty Shangle, and Will Power are your top 5 runners. Another interesting tidbit is Darren Van Dyken is actually driving a Penske car. They've proven this year to be the strongest and fastest cars on the circuit. And it's amazing that he's failed to start any race, but it goes to show you how strong these cars actually are. Will Power and Austin Cindric both are also in the top 10 for Penske. During the long green flag run to start the race, one of the heavy droppers is that of Monty Shangle falling back to 8th. Tyler Shangle moves up into the top 5. Lap traffic helps Darren Van Dyken lose the lead. Kellen Relic and Jimmy Johnson, Will Power now are your top 3. Darren Van Dyken falls back to 4th. On lap 100, Jimmy Johnson, now the new leader, Darren Van Dyken back up to 2nd, Will Power 3rd, Joseph Newgarden 4th, and Monty Shangle has actually cruised his way back up into the top 5. Lap traffic continues to be a huge factor during this long green flag run. Monty Shangle gets past Darren for 2nd place. Jimmy Johnson still leading the field. Our first green flag pit stops occur on lap 167. And for whatever reason, Darren Van Dyken has some trouble and stays on pit lane for an extended amount of time, having a top 5 finish likely out of the cards now because of this. The game doesn't usually disclose why things like this happen. It has probably something to do with the ratings in his car to have mishaps with the car. I don't know. He comes back out after a caution has just occurred. The caution was kind of caught in the background while we were watching him. It was just a simple spin out by Liz Shangle. Aaron Rapp spun her out. We do also get Clyde Coker spinning out on the infield there too. Most of the cars should have cycled around during the green flag pit stops, so it didn't ruin how the race was going to finish. Now the new leader, Monty Shangle, and also the number 2 of Darren Van Dyken is multiple laps down at the tail end of the field. As Monty Shangle continues his lead into the laps 210, I myself wound up getting wrecked and finishing my day. Up to this point, I had probably very well at the rear end of the field card, and this just cemented that. By lap 257, Monty's lead grows to nearly 3 seconds over Jimmy Johnson. Surprisingly, Liz Shangle's up to 3rd in this race, even after being in a wreck. Not so much a wreck, but yet another failure on a vehicle. Jacob Roloff stalls on the middle of the field. On lap 304, we have some 4-wide racing on a short track. This should never work out, ever. Yet, they managed to maintain it for 2 turns until everything gives up on turn 3. The 4 of them collide, taking Kellen out at the far side of the track, bringing out yet another caution. Monty continues to lead over Jimmy Johnson until on lap 366, Jimmy Johnson gets right inside of him. They fight for a little while until Jimmy Johnson secures the lead from him. Now we've got a race. The lead only fluctuates little by little each lap. As the laps on a short track continue to dwindle down, does Monty have anything for Jimmy Johnson? Monty cuts down a half-second lead to nearly 3/10 of a lead. The lap car of Greg Forian gets inside of Monty on lap 390, slowing down his attack on Jimmy Johnson. There's a lot of cars that are faster right now, most likely with fresher tires than the lead pack. Austin Cindric even gets racy inside of the leaders. But this could also come into factor for helping Monty, as Austin Cindric with the faster car could put Jimmy Johnson in the outside groove, slowing him down. Jimmy's holding a fine line in front of Austin Cindric, keeping Austin Cindric behind him. This doesn't happen forever, as Austin Cindric has the faster car at this opportunity. Monty Shangle even gets on the inside and is cruising right back towards the front. Lap cars being both a blessing and a curse, we still have a very volatile race going on here. The lead continues to stay about half a second with less than 20 laps to go. Monty's teammate of Jimmy passes inside Jimmy Johnson with yet another faster car. We don't see where this actually benefits Monty at this point yet. On this lap, Jimmy Johnson washes out high in the track, giving Monty the opportunity to pounce. He gets inside of Jimmy Johnson with the faster line, and he winds up getting the lead back with 10 laps to go. At this point, Jimmy Johnson has a lot of lap cars holding him up. He gets passed by Dalton Scott. Monty with the seemingly faster car at this point of the race. There's only 2 laps to go, and he's put up at least a second lead on Jimmy Johnson. Third place will be Alan Taylor. Fourth place will be Larry Lusk, who had also won his heat race earlier. The fifth would be that of Scott Dixon. Will Power gets yet another good finish in the top 10. Joseph Newgarden. Liz Shangle with a solid 8th. Justin Roman with his best finish of the season in 9th. And Kara Carl with her first race in the series gets a top 10. Monty Shangle is the victor. That makes 2 Shangles to win this season. Tyler Shangle winning the first race and Monty Shangle winning this one. And here are the new and improved point standings after that race. Monty Shangle ekes himself up into the top 10 in the point standings, now sitting 8th overall, having moved up 12 spots in total. Alan Taylor, further back, moved up 16 spots to 20th. Jimmy Johnson gains 2 spots to sit in 4th. And a lot of the top of the point standings doesn't have a whole lot of change. Will Power still continues to lead. From the 42 drivers that had started in the previous 6 races, we now have 2 new drivers to fill in the whole field of 44 cars on the point standings. And overall, that's a wrap for the Portland Short Track. Next week's race, I'm going to implement a brand new feature, what's going to be called the wild card ringer. So at certain venues, there will be an all-star driver that takes to the field. It'll be neat to figure out which of these all-star drivers are going to show up. On the list, I have drivers like Mario Andretti, Lewis Hamilton, and AJ Foyt, to name a few. This list can continue to grow as I see fit, and I'm going to try to focus it towards the track that they'll be racing at. And so, peace out, and logging out. This is Jake.